Well, hello, kids. It's Bob. They call me the gun doctor. I didn't give myself that name. That comes from a rifle range upstate where it was started by a bunch of doctors and lawyers, professional people that had some property. They built a gun range. I was up there acting as the resident gunsmith. So I became the gun doctor. And the only pills I handled out were 22 caliber. So anyhow, I promised I'd be back. We're going to do the recoil buffer temporary fix on this thing that I promised you in the last video, where we did we fixed up the buttstock here and put in the new recoil. There's the recoil buffer down inside here. Well, this thing is a nice shape for all the use this guy's given it. But there it is. It's all painted and redone. We're waiting on the real one from Chris at SPAS-12.com. You can go to Chris's site. Again, this is temporary. I want to use the real replacement that he's engineered. Chris is a one-man show, and from time to time he'll order parts. And you may have to wait to get them. Usually you're going to have to wait. So I told this guy to come back whenever Chris ships. Here's the old recoil buffer. I'm going to get Chris's new one, put it in. As you can see, what the Franchi chemical engineers didn't anticipate. Look at that mess. It's just literally falling apart. As fragile as fresh potato chips. Look at that. Anyhow, the recoil buffer here and the recoil buffer and the stock buffer are going to be Chris's parts when they come in. He'll bring them back from Pennsylvania. His next trip, and I'll replace them. But these are temporary fixes. He wants to get back in action with his SPAS-12. So here's what Bob did. He went ahead again and I'm totally unprepared today. I'm very sorry. It's Sunday. I got a lot of yard work to do, and I'm going to show you the oh boy, Bob. Here we go. There's the official blueprints. New style buffer pad. There's the old one. If you need the specs, there it is. It's the plastic part with the steel pad. That's backwards in it. And the dimensions, inches and millimeters, or Mickey Mouses, whatever that is. It's about half an inch long. And you want it to be a little over 710, 715 wide. I found this on another trip to McMaster, and I found this buffer, just a hollow. Somebody would call it a rubber foot if you had it on an appliance, a radio or something. Here's the original part sizes and the height that I needed. Here's the durometer again, very high durometer, nice hard, very petroleum stable material that's kind of impervious to oil and gas and whatever things you're going to encounter with your firearm, gun oil especially. I assemble this using number 440. I said flathead machine screw, and that's wrong. These are button head or pan head, so I should change that. And a nut, you're going to need a standard pattern 440 nut. Oh, this was Chris's fix. I'm sorry, I take it back. That is a flathead. And what he had recommended with his, he has a hole in the back instead of that knob that clicks into the back of the receiver. You see that knob is pretty well worn out. So this would eventually fall out into the action and probably jam up the gun. Chris provides a threaded hole in here, and he tells you to take the back of the stock, or the receiver, and to countersink that little hole to accept this flathead screw. Well, that hole, let's see if we can get a view of it here. What you can see down in there, you barely see. It's counterbored. It's a big diameter, and then it tapers. It doesn't taper. It counterbores down to a smaller diameter. Again, a terrible production. But anyhow, what happens is if you take a 440 screw here, you get one. Now, these are all standard patterns. Don't go for a small pattern or a large head. This is a 440 Phillips button head, and as you can see, I don't know if you can see that, but it goes right into that hole. It fits, and it stops at the counterbore inside. So what we decided to do with this McMaster part, there are the dimensions, and you can compare that to the original part here. Okay, you notice this is 7/16, and we really need 1/2 inch height, or length, I guess it would be in this case. So I got the McMaster part, which is, this is the guy you see right here. It's got a little counterboard hole for a recessed screw head. I took one and shoved the standard 440 nut down in there. Nice compression fit, fits nice and snug. Doesn't really want to twist in there unless you apply a lot of torque to it. Of course, by that time the screw will be pulling it down, so it probably won't spin anyhow. But as you can see, it's 7/16. It's too short. So you put this in the recess in the back, in there. You can see the hole, the recess this goes into. This is too short. So I took a second one of these, and I don't know where here. Here's the second one. And you can see I chopped it up. And all I did really, let's compare it to the real one. I made it longer. I just glued it onto the back. So now it's the proper length. It's the same thing. It's just another added section to it. And it's the proper length. So we're going to take that and we're going to stick it into the back of the receiver and put the screw in it. And then I'm going to show you what that looks like done. This is a very, very simple operation, and I shouldn't have gone this far anyhow, but that's Bob. So hang on a second here. Let me just move things around. All right, sorry about that, but I'm one-handed over here. So anyhow, I just stuck it in there. And let's take a look at it. You can see it. Only there with the nut shine, or the end of the screw shining. Now you're going to say, well, Bob, when that bolt comes sliding down, there's the bolt. When that comes flying back, it's going to hit that screw head. Yeah, it is. And it's going to hit the buffer. And what's going to happen, because that hole, not only is this awkward, it's heavy. There's the screw in the hole. That screw's going to push back. It's got about 1/4 of an inch or more room to come flying back like a shock absorber. So it's not going to hurt the bolt. It's not going to hurt the screw. It's not going to loosen up because I'm going to put a dab of contact cement on those threads. So they're not going to back out. That, my friends, probably could be permanent, but like I said, I want everything done right for this guy. If it was my gun, I'd probably leave it that way. But this belongs to a valued customer. Well, he's valued because he's a word-of-mouth guy. And he likes me and my work for some strange reason. And it's in amazing good shape for... I know he's got several thousand rounds through this thing, but... all right, I'm going to put it back together, and I'll give you a look at it. As far as I'm concerned, it can go back to... I'm going to give him a call later today and tell him, come on back, pick it up. Well, I don't know if he's going to be back in town this month or not, but that's... yeah, that's... There's very little slide wear. You see on the barrel shroud, the heat shield there, there's very little. And I remember doing some alignment work with him. I think it was in the pump mode. The handguard wasn't sliding back as fast as it should, or was not closing the bolt completely. I did some work in there, I don't know, but we cleaned it up. I checked everything for tolerances and rubbing on the inside where the gas tube is and the guide rods and so forth. And I tell you, it's pretty good. Honest opinion, guys, as much as this is a beloved weapon, I think Franchi did a rush to market design here. I think there's a few things that they took a chance with. One is the omnipresent lever safety screw up that they did. That was very dangerous. They had a recall. They replaced them. If you have a lever safety and not a push-through safety, I'm going to show you that when I put this back together. Hang on. Let me get back into that. You're going to blink an eye, and I'll be back. Now, that was magic, huh? Anyhow, what I was saying, if you have a Franchi, you're going to buy a SPAS-12 that has a lever here on the right-hand side. Talk to a gunsmith. Either get it taken out and have him show you how you could now use the only the auto safety down here in the trigger guard, or see if you could find a replacement. I don't know if they're available anywhere or not. Those are very dangerous safeties. They will, if you are locked and loaded and you're unsafe and you move the lever to fire, there's a chance, and I've been told 1 out of 5, 1 out of 7, the gun will fire when you go from safe to fire without ever touching the trigger. And the reason is pretty evident. I should have shown you when I had this out, the trigger group. The fire control group has got a, not strange, but kind of an unusual way of searing the trigger and the hammer. And when you engage the safety, there's a separation between the two that makes it very safe. But when you release the safety and it puts it back into its normal trigger hammer sear alignment, things can slip. And that's when this thing will make a lot of noise and lead comes out the front. So, with fire. So, be advised of that. Again, I say they rushed to market. I know they had the right materials at the time. Maybe they just don't have people smart enough there to figure it out. There used to be a plastic wheel here that would rotate, I don't know, 45 degrees or something. And, well, I got this one very tight. There it goes. See, that'll rotate back to there and there. And it's just like a strain relief. But there's a steel pin holding it in. I had to make this plate for the guy. And I put my marks in there so everybody knows who did it. And I put an M1 car. I think it's from an M1 carbine. It's a 1-inch sling swivel, all steel. That's not going to break. The front one here is, it's part of the feed tube assembly, buffer and feed tube. So that's okay. But again, the recoil buffer for the bolt. That wasn't well thought out. And, of course, the stock buffer here, which is very important. People let those break and they say, well, it's not that important. I'll just feel a little bit more recoil. No, it is important. You will, in time, crack it from that pin out. You'll certainly elongate the hole and make this whole thing sloppy. This is nice and tight now with the new one I put in. I mean, it's just very, very nice. I can't do this one-handed, especially left-handed. But you can hear it's just beautiful. So that's it. That's the Franchi thing. I'm sorry if I annoyed anybody by saying they rushed to market. It is a nice design. The Italians are always good. I'm kind of partial to Beretta pistols too, and that speaks well of their artistic abilities. Berettas are pretty. The 85, 380, and the 92, they're pretty guns. I mean, even if you don't like them, they're still pretty. So there you are. Hopefully I could have him come back when Chris gets his inventory back, and I can gladly take this puppy apart again and put Chris's parts, which are probably lifetime parts. Be patient with Chris. He's a great guy. And again, I'm not trying to step on his toes doing this stuff. This is a temporary fix, and the guy is now back in action as of this minute. And my disclaimer to you guys is, listen, if you're not comfortable doing this kind of work, or you're not qualified, or you're not 100% sure of what you're doing, don't do it. Find a gunsmith. Find somebody who's going to do it right for you. Guns are made for one thing, and that's for destroying whatever is out in front of them. So be very, very careful. Never work with ammo in the shop. Always make sure these silly things are empty. And you know the rest of it. Don't point it at stuff unless you want to make it go away. Listen, stay safe. We love you all. Keep coming back. Please like me if you like me. If you don't like me, go away quietly, please. And thumbs up and subscribe and all that jazz. I hope to have more. I've got a super duper ultra cheap Remington 700 long-range rifle. I call it an M24 sniper rifle clone. It's not a clone. It's not like the M40 either. But there's a lot of it that is, probably 80%. And I built it for under $1,000. Got you interested, huh? And someday, I'm going to show you a collection I have out of state here, up at the Academy, my Vietnam-era AR-15 clones of the M16s I carried in Vietnam. So, look forward to that. Love you all. Bye-bye. Take care. Stay safe.